Right, sir.
Good afternoon, all esteemed participants. I'm thankful to IWST Dr. MP Singh too for inviting Uttar Pradesh Forest Department to present the case. As you see in the figure, our wonderful Chief Minister is planting the tree. After the bifurcation of Uttarakhand, we were deprived of the good forest. Now we have only 6.15% of the forest, of the geographical area under the forest. But we have a very proactive government which is going in for plantation, large scale plantation over the last 5 to 6 years, and the result is visible. So I will be going through some slides very, very quickly because at the time is not much available. So for doing any planning, we should know where we are and what we are. So I already told we have only 6.5%, 6.15%, out of which major chunk is open forest. Only 1%, less of 1% is the VDF. MDF is something around 1.6%, and mostly we have open forest. So what we have to go, any plantation drive or any green or any production, we will have to go for outside forest. So our entire emphasis is on tree outside forest. I will give you some more data. The geographical areas, because we already know 7.3% and we are supporting 16.85% of the population. So if we go to that, our per capita availability is only 0.008 hectares, grossly inadequate. Even though India's average availability is also very less, 0.6, but compared to that, per capita availability of forest area for the in UP is very less. But when we go to the efforts of the last 5 years, it is visible as per the FSI reports. Tree cover has increased by 79 square kilometers. Tree outside forest has extended is 13,000 square kilometers, hectares. Growing stock has increased substantially. If you see the diameter class wise, Tectona grandis, this is the data from obtained, and the reserve forest we have across the diameter class. Teak is available, but in a very, very less quantity, not compared to many South Indian teak growing states. So dominant tree species outside the tree outside forest, if you see in the rural areas, Mangifera indica is the common species adopted by the people. Eucalyptus popular, Acidicta indica, and Delveris issue. Tectona grandis has not come. Sorry, has not been adopted in a large scale. But now things are changing. As far as for the rural urban areas, the condition is also slightly different. Tectonic grandis has been came. But if you see the carbon stock, we have a substantial quantity we are trying to increase. Now the emphasis of the department is on climate change, carbon sequestration, RED+, carbon marketing, etc., etc. So we continuously monitor the carbon stock in the forest, and every event when the climate change conclave was there, it was made climate carbon neutral by planting sufficient number of trees at a site, at various sites. So the emphasis is on planting more trees, making all the activities carbon neutral. So this is a very important slide when we plan for increasing the land tree cover or tree outside the forest. If you see, the forest cover is only very less, but we have to concentrate on areas under miscellaneous cultural wasteland, fallow lands, current fallows, net zone area. So what we are trying to do is that block plantations, basically agroforestry model, block plantations along the bunds and the species, making people according to the people's need. Last plantation drive, around 30,000 microplants were made in every district level or at panchayat level. Depending on the necessities, depending on the desire of the people, the department is trying to raise the plantations and distribute as per the microphone with the geotagging and maintaining a chain of custody documentation. So this is what I told you. The government is fully committed to greening UP because we are aware of our deficiency Honorable CM wants plantation drive to be taken in a major scale. Once it starts, he himself goes to various places, and we are very happy to say, Honorable PM, Prime Minister, whenever he comes, he plants a tree, wherever occasions he tree, and it has become a norm. Whenever the VIP functions comes, tree has to be planted, and in that way, the tree planting culture is slowly getting imbibed in the culture of the Uttar Pradesh. And not you can see from the figures, 2015 it was 5.7. It is increasingly going up. In last from Paris Agreement 2015, we have already planted 112 crores of trees, and this year the plantation target is 35 crores. And see, for providing the saplings for this plantation drive, we are raising nurseries. I have listed the number of nurseries. We have 1,813 departmental nurseries. There are hundreds of private nurseries also. That document, that data at present I am not having. But we see number of saplings raised, almost 78 crores have been raised over the last 3 years. So other figures are also available. So the plantation drive, along with the nursery raising and along with the capacity building, this is going on in a major stride. If you see the number of saplings, teak saplings raised, it was to 19, 20, 13%. It was 2000 because teak has been supplied by the private farmers also. In 2021-22, only 10% in the departmental nurseries. This is basically because as per the microplan and as per the demand we are raising, need-based. So if you see the teak scenario in Uttar Pradesh, everybody, because it has already been told, teak is one of the best known species. It is known for its grain durability, a color, its workability, and all those things. It has been explained in detail, so I don't want to go it again. But if you see the natural plantations, natural teak, because everybody knows the northern boundary of Indians is the natural boundary for the teak. So if you see that these areas, Lalitpur, Jhansi, we have something around in Lalitpur district, which is in the Bundelkhand area, 20,000 hectares, Jhansi 3,100 hectares. All other trees have been almost planted in the Tarai belt. And in the Tarai belt also, you can see almost 50% is in the sanctuary areas now. We have excellent plantations in Soilwa, Sohibarwa, Gorakhpur, Kadania Ghat. And in these areas, there are not much plantation commercial activities are happening. But even in the reserve forest area, only dry living trees have been felled. And as per the working plan prescription, normally 50-year rotation is prescribed. By that time, the DBH will be something around 40 to 50. That is the exploitable diameter prescribed. But thinning is also prescribed in the working plan at the 10th year, 20th year, and 30th year. But because of budgetary constraints and other difficulties, these thinning operations is not. I don't have data for the productivity as such because this commercial production has not been. That data have to be collected and will be shared. But normally, UP is not a teak growing area, but wherever the teak has been planted along the Tarai belt, it has come up very nicely, excellent. The plantations are there. And now our focus is on extending it to tree outside the forest in the agroforestry models. So here also agroclimatic wise potential we have calculated for formulating the agroforestry policy. There was a Technona grant in the eastern, northeastern area because that entire belt of Maharajganj, Gorakhpur, and extending up to Siddharth Nagar, then Gonda. This is the area which is good for teak and good quality teaks in Gonda, and all Gonda teaks are more famous, and it is going on. Now we are collecting the specimen seeds and other clonal material from this area and propagating to other areas. So this is an extraction we have got from the UP Forest Department. This figure is only pertaining to the forest areas only. So they have the exclusive right to fell from the reserve forest. So there is a decrease in the production from the. This is basically because commercial harvesting is not very much there. Only dying and fallen trees have been extracted. And as the other speakers were saying, teak is very costly. There is a diameter-wise, length-wise, because 1 cubic meter fetches as less 1.5. That is the average forest corporation rates. Market rates may be much more than that. So teak is in high demand. Earlier in UP, sesame was also grown in agroforestry. All household had sesame, but unfortunately with the wilting disease, teak sesame plantations are coming down, and there is the demand from the people for other alternatives, and there is this liking for teak is catching up, and accordingly we have to give more saplings, and we will have to augment the plantation programs. So teak plantations, as the earlier speakers have also mentioned about it, now because the teak is high valuable, they have been planted everywhere. So there is no proper guidance. Of course, we are doing our best for the capacity building training programs are there, but in all sites, even when I have seen in the Tarai areas, water intensive areas also, they are planting teak. So the site selection, there should be sufficient emphasis on the site selection, because it has been proven by various observations and experiments, and because proper site selection itself improve the productivity by almost 100%. Now we'll have to get, it has been emphasized time and again, high quality timber, it should be the planting material. Planting material should be of, when we go for large plantations, large scale plantation, there is a danger, because we are not, so far, we are not able to certify the saplings, certify the seeds. We are not able to assure that the seed source is from the genetically known, well-known area. And this is a major concern. And unless and otherwise we increase the seed supply of such suppliers, increase the supply of certified seed or genetically known varieties, then the plantation program may fail in the long run. So we'll have to have both the policies. We have to have a short-term policy. We have to have a long-term policy. Short-term policy should be for the establishment and management of the seed production areas, clonal orchards, clonal banks, seed and production that we are trying to do, but considering the large-scale plantation activities and large-scale demand for teak and other concerned species for agroforestry, we are not able to. That's where the concerned area we will have to. And we have tissue culture laboratories, but due to the funding and due to the experts, we are not able to produce it to the maximum extent as per the requirement. This is one of the concerns we'll have to address in the long term. Long term, we'll have to have tree improvement strategies. We will have to have genetic pool. We will have to have field trials. We will have to do all these systematic for the tree improvement, and we'll have to have FGR, resources certified and preserved. All these short-term and long-term measures have to be taken to sustain this plantation drive. So as I already told, that the quality plan, as many speakers were stressing on that, after site selection, the major thing responsible for the productivity and the success of the plantation drive and for the farmers is that quality planting. The seed supply sources, just I explained, seed production areas are there, seed orchards are there, clonal seed orchards are there, planted plus trees are there. So we have a potential, as per our records, around 10,000 quintals of seed. It was not maintained properly. We, as UP Forest Department, had a culture of having established seed production areas and supply of good quality seeds, but over the last few years, because of the scarcity of funds and the scarcity of other things, this has come down. We are trying to revamp the entire thing, because unless and otherwise we are able to provide quality planting material, whatever the projections we are making will not be able, and the farmers may not get the income that we are assuring. Along this, again, the equipment can be provided by the vegetative methods and tissue culture. It has been explained in detail by our various speakers. I don't want to spend time on this. So again, but it has also been mentioned by the various speakers. Once a quality planting material, once a site is selected, once a quality planting material is provided, the management is important, very, very important. It has been stressed by the earlier speaker also. What happens? Many of the farmers doesn't know. They plant it and then just leave it. They don't know the correct planting techniques, and they go for cheap planting material from the private sector from suppliers. So we have to do a lot of hand holding to the farmers at the stage of quality standing selection, preparing and planting. The plant spacing is also important. Somewhere we have seen they are planting at 1 by 1 and they are not doing any thinning. And we are seeing many co-piecing, they are not doing the pruning in time. And if previous speaker stressed on the fertilization and watering, that has not been in what should be the fertilization regime, what should be the watering regime. Weeding is not done. Pruning is a very important thing. And Sachin was saying, by thinning around, we can 5 times increase the productivity. So thinning has not been prescribed. Then again, there are sporadic cases of insect damage. There are not much mentioning about. So management of teak plantations is equally important, is very important, not equally important, very important first after the site selection and this. So only thing is that we have to do large scale capacity building, large scale training programs for the farmers, and that is what we are being attempting, because our targets are very high. All of a sudden we increase the target, so we need to have quality sealing and the management practices told to them. So there are the good news about, because of the assessment was done and 77 lakh cubic meter is that this assessment was done to assessing the wood-based industries in UP, because as per the honorable court's order. So we are not very good in very advanced in the wood-based industries, but we are making a leap for clump. We are trying our best to do it. So I'll touch something on the wood-based industry scenario because this is important. Once you don't have the proper market, now we have to send it to Haryana or long places, the transportation will not be economic. And that is why, as people told, the people, farmers are not getting the correct price. If they don't get the correct price, they will not go for large scale plantations. And our objective of doubling the income of the farmers and giving them alternate income will fail. So along with that, we are trying, along with all our programs, as I told earlier, carbon emission estimation and carbon marketing is also being stressed. If you say there are no new wood-based industries after 1997 because of the Novel High Court order, we are making effort to project the output, project the production, and to do whatever is possible to have more wood-based industries to come up in the UP, so that the farmers are assured of a proper market. So way forward, because as I am telling, because the emphasis is on the carbon emission and its mitigation, because UP also plan to become carbon neutral in next 20-25 years. So as we are told, potential to double the wood-based industries for 10 years. So this is what we are trying to project when we are with the seminars with the farmers. That the first question is where the plants will come up and where we sell it. And I have already told that more than 100 crores has been planted in 5 years, and the figures I have already shown. The forest cover and the tree cover both are increasing as per the FSI report. It's a very good sign. It shows that our massive plantation efforts are bearing fruits. So number of wood-based industries are also going to increase, and there is a shift in policy for giving the licenses and making it ease of business. Our state is going up in the way. So wood-based industries also we are trying to make establishment easy. So one of the issues that is all over the Tree Protection Act. The farmers has to do a lot of transactional cost. They have to incur a lot of transactional cost, lot of time wasted in getting the tree permit and transport permit. And because of that, they are getting almost 20 to 25% of the market value. This is a great disincentive, but UP made a great effort to exempt all species except mango, neem, sal, mahua, care in 62 districts which doesn't have much forest. But unfortunately, Honorable NGT in his wisdom has caused this notification saying that indiscriminate cutting of trees violate Article 20 of the Constitutions. In their judgment, they say exception clauses can only be in the exception situation. So this, in spite of the government's disease, this tree permit and transit permit regime could not be simplified, but the efforts are going on. And when we say finding resources for massive target, because so far the government was very generous to give the budget, but this much of budget may not be available. So the government is telling the department to see CSR funds, R&D funds, and other sources also. So such a massive drive needs a lot of funding, and we will have to go for innovative funding sources. R&D for developing economically viable species. Every time, because monoculture we cannot propagate, so we have to for other species also for agroforestry. Agroforestry model has to be developed. And teak will be the major species. Earlier the major species was sesame, but because of the wilt disease, so we are in contact with FRI to promote wilt resistant sesame. So we are in contact with the FRI and other institutions from Willia, dubia and other species, mahogany, etc. species also. But our emphasis will be on two species, particularly the teak and the sesame. Sesame, if we can propagate sesame and the teak in the agroforestry with appropriate models, and a lot of models have been developed by FRI, CAFRI, and our own institute also. We are making the demonstration trials, and we are trying to get the gate. And this will be great incentive for the people, because we have already developed agroforestry model for popular, and it is in the western parts. It is very well developed, and for farmers got very much benefit from the popular based agroforestry. Now in the other eastern UP and other parts of the Uttar Pradesh, we need to raise this type other species, particularly we will try for placing on based on the teak. Then now we have a policy for the fair distribution of the saplings during this plantation drive. Wherever it has been included for the farmers, for the institutions, etc., which has come within the micro plan. So we have free distribution. It has been continued. So they need increasing the incentives, because of social agroforestry, we are giving incentives. We need more incentives to be given.
Sir, kindly conclude, sir.
Yeah. Concluding that, one more slide only. Market linkages, I told in detail, market linkages are very much essential. Then the ban on the private. Then this is my last slide. So based on the interactions with the government, with the various stakeholders, we are promoting the draft Uttar Pradesh tree outside policy, the agroforestry outside forest policy. This is because repeatedly we are convinced that because of our nature of the forest, we cannot do much on the forest, but we will of course be trying to protect. We will be trying to protect the natural regeneration, ANR, etc. But large scale thrust will be given on the TOF. So basically, inclusion of the tree forest in agriculture crop, enhance employment, income, livelihood, protect, stabilize agriculture ecosystem, promote woodlot industries. So the emphasis will be on quality planting material to farmers, high-tech nurseries, tissue culture labs, high-yielding clone development, various species. Then we will call the agriculture produce. Then we have the minimum support price. Then tree insurance scheme is also being attempted. We are trying to do on incentivize the agroforestry saplings, financial assistance, then tying up with the financial banks for doing then carbon financing in a big way. We are trying to do the carbon financing with additionality to the farmers, and which will prompt them to be then make it from the buyer's market to a seller's market. Krishi Vanigi Upaj Mandi. This is what, just like the vegetable mandis, we try to do. Then Inam, agroforestry, lot of initiatives has been taken, been tried about, because together with the massive plantation drive, we should have all this system in place, so that after 10 years, 15 years, when the products come, then there should be proper marketing. So such a long-term planning is being done. Then promote establishment wood-based industries. The market linkages, wood-based industries are very, because UP doesn't have, as I told you earlier, much wood-based industries. So that is a disincentive for the farmers. So we'll have major clusters, just like in Saharanpur, just like in Bareilly, the clusters which already where industries are there. We are trying to develop those clusters. Then we are collaborating with the various research institutions to develop more clones, more varieties, and we are having the training programs, and all those is agroforestry mission is already been handled by the forest department. So likewise, so tree outside forest and phases is on the teak forest, and whatever small area we have, around 74,000 hectares we are having on that, whatever we can improvement we are trying to do, and the southern belt, the Even this is the northernmost border of the teak, and it's not very low quality teak, but it's still there, whatever improvement we can do. So a little bit of forest teak, try to improve it and expand in a massive way to the tree outside forest to agroforestry, planting good quality material and teaching them, hand-holding them in the good management practices. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your very exhaustive presentation about the UP. You are focusing on the TOF. I've just shared one draft for TOF Act to you. Please go through that. If you see if that works for your state, I will be glad to have your inputs. Thank you,
Thank you.
sir.
Sure, we will do, because there's
And
no other way in UP rather than